This is the story of our house, a historic property in Blekinge, Sweden. Today it's a beautiful but slightly neglected home that needs some love and paint. But in the 19th and 20th century, it was a makeshift rectory and a community cultural hub. Let's step back in time. In the early 1800s, 1824 to be exact, before this area even had its own parish, the area was just a rugged northern forest region. Along the old parish road leading towards Småland, a traditional South Swedish timber farm was built. This was what now is our house. But everything changed in 1865. This area officially split into its own parish, and they welcomed the very first vicar, Rönnbäck. There was only one problem: they hadn't built him a rectory yet. This was also the year that the church in this new parish stood finished. As a temporary solution, the parish bought this timber house. Vicar Rönnbäck moved in. But the insulation, though, was practically non-existent. Even with all the kakelugnar in the house, I can imagine that the winter draughts were brutal. They decided to build a rectory closer to the church only 7 years later. This was the gate and the door that the members of the church walked through when they wanted to see the priest to discuss different matters. This was the room where they sat down and waited for their turn to see the priest, and this is what I think were the parish office. Maybe the vicar had a desk in front of the kakelugn, who knows? Think about it, from joy to heartbreak, everything passed through these doors. People came here to register birth, arrange marriages, or seek comfort and guidance from the priest during times of grief. Before modern government offices, the parish office was where your story was officially written. The world have changed and many of these offices are quiet now, but the history remains in the walls. The vicar, he eventually got his new home, but the house didn't lose its importance. In fact, it became the beating heart of the community. During the late 1800s, locals began referring to the spacious building as a kulturhus, or a cultural house or community manor. This grand old timber building hosted local council meetings, early cultural events, and youth group gatherings. A bit into the 20th century, the church still owned the estate. Nearby area and village blossomed into a famous health resort. The estate was divided into smaller properties. Some land was sold off to a nearby farm, giving birth to the official designation we now know today as our property. This house transitioned from public use to a private family home. What I know about the outbuildings isn't that much, but based on a year written on the barn, I'm guessing it was built in 1897. I also know that the church leased the land to different tenants, farmers, during the time they owned it. The earliest resident owners I have found was Lisa and Ewald, who inherited the house in 1941, the same year they were married. As you can see here on this beautiful wedding photo in front of the house. I also found a photo of a little girl standing in front of a door, this same door, and it turned out to be the same Lisa. So maybe she lived here as a child too? In the late 21st century, the house became somewhat upgraded. The historic lions and the ancient timber skeleton were carefully preserved. But most importantly, it was finally given modern insulation and a more modern heating system. The cold was defeated. So what is the future for this old vicarage? We have a lot of renovations to do and make this house into what it once was. Of course functional for today's needs, but we want to preserve and save as much of the character of the house that we can and keep the period style of the house in mind when decorating. We want you to feel like you're stepping back in time a little bit, but we still want all the modern conveniences at hand. We are hoping to use this house as our home in the future, but at the same time we want to share it with others. The old farmhand's cottage we will for sure rent out like a B&B or something else like that. The big house we maybe also could use for a B&B and maybe for events or just a place where like-minded people can meet to learn their craft or something else. If you have any ideas of what we could do in the future here, please share. I will of course share the whole renovation journey with you all. And also, if you have any ideas of a name for this beautiful house, please let me know. I think it needs one. Thank you for watching, take care, and we will talk soon. Bye!